you ready? Is anybody ever ready for laser? We don't know, we don't know. Good morning. Good morning. What did we do yesterday? And wait, so to this. Yesterday we did nothing. Whoa. I just did show and tell and then talking to Chad. So today I do want to get some lasering done. So let's see about that. Let's see about that. I want to minimize this. Then we have this. I still want to decide on this. I feel like this should be a little like here. The cable as well. Like this maybe. I think that's better. Maybe. I don't think we want to render out the hooks into files. Why is that bad? Why are hooks bad? Where do I have that? Is it a laser? Or did I remove this but not remove it? Yep. Bye. Here's the hooks. So the problem with this is that it needs to go through all these dynamically. Do we want to be able to dynamically assign hooks is the question. I don't think so. There are some hooks that we do, like the time hook. Where do I have that? Time. Yeah, you can hook into laser time every and then maybe hour, a minute. So that's kind of, that could come from a state chart. I think we'll just leave it dynamic for now. I can still render this out later if I want to. It's fine. It's fine. I also wanted to look into the service worker. Isn't that, I think it's an admin? Maybe, no. Here, and here. Just SSE, which we don't need, we just need Mercure. So that's something we still have to figure out. These the debounce centum updates. Ugh. I feel like this will be part of the 20% left that takes 80% of the time after you think you got 80% done. Message handler. And what the service worker does is it acts as a request work on the client side. So every time you fetch something, it keeps a cache and keeps a list of the stuff that it has cached, communicates that to the server. So if there's an incremental update to the page, that gets sent out to the client. How are we doing on the boot side? I still don't like that I have to do this here. It's bad. We got through all this. We have PHP 4. .4.6. Bleeding edge, I think. Almost. A bug fix release. Or did you fix? Oh, it's the wrong one. Yeah, but I can just do 8 here, require 8, and then it gets rebuilt. We can do that later. Ooh. There's some bits in the cache that we still can figure out how to make smaller, I think. Like, I think a lot of the cached PHP files won't be necessary. You'll probably end up just with a handful of, like, the recipes PHP file is one of these. Void. Yeah, this is still not done. You could start on this, maybe. Maybe. I do this a lot, where I get the prerequisites from this, or the first prereq, so maybe I want to make magic variables for that. Maybe. There's the recipe refactor on here. Hang on. Prereq list would in this case give us the, like this for instance. Maybe. Probably not. We might not need this. Do we include the recipes PHP somewhere? No. Well, what needs these? Basically everything needs the recipes. Where's the recipe for the recipes? What's this? This won't need them. But the starting up of this doesn't need it. But it's this kind of recipe, so that will work. How do we start this up? This kind of connects to this one. Where do we resolve these? It wouldn't find this on startup, so that's an issue. It also feels like this is more part of Hypermake actually. So we could decide that all the other services are dependent on this one. Yeah, that's probably the better idea. Just resolve it dynamically. So that would mean... Where's the other ones here? Why do I not have these? It doesn't put out a PID file. Wait, how do I know that this is enabled? How do I know that this is enabled? And what is in there right now? This does this. Can we... We wouldn't have like a PID file. What we would have here is this for this. And we can call it like started. Well, it's no wait, this should be this. is enabled, but enabled is not started. So we want to restart this. And that should be fine. So we have this one service. Then we have the cache service. And then we have the data worker. The data worker should have a PID file. Does not. Why? We need to do that then. This one here, this needs to write a PID file. We can copy that code from this. Why do we do that? And this. Why command? That's nonsense. We just need this and this. Ugh. We don't really need this either. I think. So I still have to figure out subs at some point. Oh, this is gone now. Has the PID file. So in the recipe for this. So we don't have this for Hyperwake either. That's bad. That means we need to pull it from here. We don't have it here. So we don't have it. So we just want the PID file. Which means we put this in here. This is now this. But when we make this service definition, this one, and you have the target and the PID file. So it's double space this so we can read it better. So this is this, and this is the PID file. No. This is. The path, and then the other argument is the PID file. And what was that called? This. This root, and then PID file. we can start this. And we know that we want to first start the Hypermake process. So this and this and this depends on the Hypermake daemon being started first. You need to rebuild at least this. Okay. Now if we boot, we want to know, have these started. And then we also need to remove that when we shut it down. Yeah, we'll do that in a second. But first we want to put these in here. And then we have a shutdown command for these. Shut down this. And this. Should remove this file if it's there. Same thing for the Redis cache. And the same thing for the data worker. We didn't need this before because before we only had the Hypermake daemon running. The rest, there was no rest. There was nothing there. It did not happen. And technically, we also start the caddy workers, but these are handled by caddy, so that's fine. But caddy itself should also depend on Hypermake. Yeah. So let's look into this. We have boot. That is start laser global caddy. And this should now depend on this. I think. Right. Let's test whether the setup works. Find exists. Well, let's first check whether this is correct now. Okay, so this is fine. Why are you trying to link this? This is wrong. broken link. It's gone. Fail to enable unit. Oh, yeah. So we are trying to build this. This depends on this. Do we have this? No. This didn't work. This didn't work. Right, why is the file there? Why is this file there, not the other one? Do not write files. File put contents. Laser hyperlink. No, this is the wrong one. Did have the path first. Probably builds a file called laser hypermake. Shouldn't do that. So the signature is wrong there. We need to make this correct. Path is the last argument, which is bad. We want this. So we need to remove this. And now this should work. Now we can enable it. Do you do anything though? Fail to open. But this was from a minute ago, so this is now fine, I think. What? Oh, come on. Sad. It's so sad. People actually finding real errors here. Look at that. Before using in production, performance is the opposite of what the README claims. Testing shows that lab performance opposite. README says 10% smaller, it's larger. Searches 43 milliseconds for the search. This also immediately reads like it's GPT generated. Prompting an AI to steam the case. why do people willingly post AI slop? People say I didn't check this. I just let ChatGPT run this. This is basically let me Google that for you, but in professional terms. Yeah, probably. It's probably a meme. I read this so many times. And yes, there is a very, very, very small section of programming where it's about people like me when I was starting out, just trying out things. The difference is these people should try out things and leave the professionals alone. They should not be publishing this as a repost. They should not post a show HN. They should not prompt people to write out long screeds on why this is actually bad. They should have some mechanism should tell them that they need a couple of years to work on stuff until they are worthy of other people's attention. But yeah. Maybe this project is not mature and ready for what we're testing it for. But I was immediately impressed on how easy it is to support a chatbot for a small and mid-sized business. It is fast and accurate and simple to implement on any website. No. The answer to that is just no. And stop it. And get better. Get some help. Take your meds. And get good before you annoy other people who try to get their job done. Yeah, people need to get good, man. We have stopped telling people, all this talk about we need to be open to newbies and so forth. All that notwithstanding, there is also the element that you need to tell newbies that they need to get good desperately. Otherwise, you're setting up people for failure. Imagine that. Imagine telling people that no, this is actually right. That we have an influx of people who pretend like it's a good idea that you don't know anything, but the chatbot knows everything. Offloading their mental capacity to artificial intelligence, whilst still wanting to participate. And it's like, no, you participate when you got good. Before that, you should not do that. Because that's a bad idea. And when I started programming in 2009, about 2009, and I wasn't good. I do not have a Discord now. I got good I started in 2009, and I put out bad code for about at least 10 years. And I started way too early too. that was not a good thing. What would I use the Discord for anyhow? Why? You can make a Telegram group, a laser group. But to me, it feels like I only got good in the last like 5 years, maybe. So it took me at least 11 years to get to the level where I can get good. And that's the old story of like 10,000 hours of practice that you need. So before that, you really shouldn't be annoying other people with that time. Man, I'm old. I'm old. You young whippersnappers and stuff. I'm basically a senior at that point. And a lot of the frustration is just seeing young people not getting the same experience that I got, which was just years of hacking on code until you understood the basic stuff. Now we pretend like you can offload all of this to an LLM. And the answer to that is no. And stop it. And get good. Because you shouldn't be doing that. I think this actually still fails. Probably. Because this should write initializing hypermake and it doesn't. Yeah, this is on the, if you use it as a tutor to help you get good, that can be helpful. But as with any tool that is a little more sophisticated, people just end up using it as a crutch. And the purpose of a crutch is that eventually you can walk on your own. If you require the crutch all the time, then it's not a crutch, then it is now your legs. And whenever the internet is out, you don't have legs now. And that's a bad feeling, man. That's a bad time. Yeah, you can and I can. But if you look at all these vibe coders, then I'm actually debating with myself to what extent I will, in finger quotes, teach my kids about GPT. They know it exists and they know that I use it, but I'm not letting them use it for school, for instance. Like, fuck that. They should do all that stuff themselves. Because if a chatbot writes your homework, then what's the purpose of the homework? And yes, there is a lot of useless homework, but you still have to use it. Oh yeah, there are so many developers who are completely stuck in a framework and actually cannot use the base language, which is also the point of what I'm doing in PHP and why I'm not using these big frameworks like Symfony and so forth. Because there's so much stuff that people do with frameworks that could just be a function call and a script, and they don't get it. And a lot of the stuff they do with databases could just be a file, and a lot of the service infrastructure that they're setting up could just be other files. And JavaScript is the same thing. I'm also not using a framework for the JavaScript portion of this, because you can just do things these days if you have good taste and know what to do. And for that, you need to get good first. And that takes about 10 years, and people don't have that time. People want to be successful now. They want to basically be they want to be Levels.io and vibe code 10 startups each month and then make 50k a month to fuel their vibe coded lifestyle. And it works for people, and it obviously works for Levels.io, but we cannot build a society on that. We cannot vibe code a society. We cannot vibe code a user base of competent programmers that way. And I'm not blaming Levels.io. He's a fun guy, and he often talks about that he needs to get work done and stuff. But he also vibe codes a lot of crap stuff that we maybe don't need. Oh yeah. Vibe coding is just one. I still need to find a solution for chat, basically. I've tried to find a bunch of solutions that I can put in stream, but I haven't found a good one yet. Because I also want to combine the YouTube and the Twitch chat and stuff. But just combining this chat and then that I could put it in the video, basically. I want to have, like, up here, I want to have an area where there's chat, maybe. A bunch of things that I don't like that I found. Yeah, you basically need some kind of HTML container that you can embed, I think. No, there are ready-made solutions. I just haven't decided on one yet. But your point about this is vibe coding in programming is just a facet of a larger societal problem where people without competence get into positions of influence and then suddenly have to actually do the job. So for politicians, it's usually, if you are not competent and you get into politics and you get into a position of influence, then suddenly you have influence. And that means that other powerful people who are actually kind of competent want to use you. So that's where you get lobby influence on politicians, basically. And this is why most of the legislation, I think, these days in all countries is just written by lobbyists, because they actually know what's going on. And that's fine unless the politicians do not know what's going on, because then they're just influenced by influence. And this is what I was talking about, the quality versus quantity. If you rely solely on quantity of influence and of theoretical competence, then at some point the lack of quality will become apparent. And as it is in vibe coding programming, if vibe coding produced good results, we wouldn't be talking about it so much, And if incompetent politicians manage to make good politics, we wouldn't be mad about that. It's just that they lack that quality where it actually helps other people, where it's actually good and useful. Useful on top of all other things, I think. We have so many useless people, and it's the worst thing. Kanye said the worst thing you can call a man is that he's crazy, and I think that's actually wrong. I actually think the worst thing you can call a man is useless, because fundamentally what most men especially want to be is useful. They want to be of use to other people. And vibe coding can give you the illusion of being useful. Like this guy has the illusion of being useful to other people, because people are taking this seriously. but it's an illusion. It's not real. There's no quality here. It just it doesn't do the thing it pertains to do, and to the extent that it does, it's bad. so it's useless, and we should not enable people to be more useless. But the more we offload competence to AI, the more useless people we will get. That's bad. And you might be able to use LLMs to make people more useful, but if you take a look at the direction that they're developing in, you're skipping right past that. What about people at 14 hours screen time? Yeah, people who are on YouTube Shorts all day. I mean, this is basically the other facet of AI, is that we've gotten so much better at turning NPCs into even more of an NPC. They're just consuming AI slop at some point that is geared towards capturing and keeping your attention and keeping you away from doing useful things. Your only purpose as in TikTok and YouTube Shorts NPC is that you feed the algorithm with attention. And we cannot build society on that. You can, however, build a bunch of VC-funded multi-billion-dollar enterprises on that. So this is why those exist. This is why we have so much AI slop. And part of that in programming too. I mean, the fundamental thing that we have to realize right now, we've gotten out of the industrial age, where humans were becoming a little less useful for crucial tasks. And if we are to do the same thing about work that needs intelligence right now, there is a huge chunk of the workforce that will become useless very, very soon. And that means that we will have rampant unemployment. And if we are really honest right now, there are so many jobs that should not exist in the first place, because they are either keeping alive the same bureaucracy that they feed off on. So it's just a circular employment scheme of bureaucracy employing bureaucracy. And then there is another part of the economy where it's just about dealing with all the fallout of bad societal decisions, like all the money that we pump into social systems for unemployment benefits, for dealing with all those children of parents who are supposed to all go to work and have their useless jobs. There's entire structures of society hell-bent on creating fake employment for people. And I don't have a concrete estimate, but probably at least 60 or 70% of the economy is just busy work that is otherwise entirely useless. And the thing that I always talk about, that you shouldn't solve problems that you can prevent to have in the first place. That thing is about 60 to 70% of the economy. And I think you can get away with like 20%, maybe 30% of the economy being that. But in Germany right now we have the Staatsquote, so the amount of the GDP that is spent on government services is now exceeding 50%. It kind of went down before COVID, and after COVID it again grew beyond 50%. So that means that more than 50% of the economy output in Germany is spent on the state, which means that we have crossed the Rubicon, basically. And it'll grow further. And I think 50% is even wrong, because parts of the via NGOs and all that stuff, the 50% is just the official numbers. I think realistically it's more like 60 or 70% of the economy is actually this kind of fake work. And that system cannot hold. And all the society outfall that we see, all the crying about populism and the right-wing shift and all that stuff, and all the hand-wringing about crime and migration and all that is just a simple numbers game, because we have exceeded the 40% maybe maximum of which you should allow a society to deal with fake things. And we are accelerating that with AI, because now we are telling part of the actual workforce that they don't even need to work, and that they can offload things to the AI. And you can get away with not having like moral judgment about this, and people always try to make it a moral thing, because we try to make all things moral these days, and that's the best way to never get anything done about it. But it is a simple numbers game. It doesn't work as an economical model. And people are so caught up in the details of where things are bad these days, and they're not realizing that this is at the core. And the core is that we need to get realistic about what actually provides value. But the problem with that is that there is no way to do that and be nice about it. And we want to be nice to people, and politicians do not get elected if they're not nice. And that's the easiest thing you can call people who want to change things. It's you might be right, but we can't do that, because that's not nice. You cannot cut all these jobs. What will the people do? Like if we didn't spend 50% of the economic output of the entire country, and at least half of that is definitely busy work. If we can't employ these people, what will they do? People need something to do. Otherwise, they will start getting ideas. But I think if there is some positive development that will... There are parts of the economy that obviously will continue to work, like people still need to eat, people still need basic facilities in life. That will always happen. And yes, we can automate some of that, and we can build it with robots and so forth, but with the shrinking demand on human work, there are big societal changes coming, and we are really not prepared for that at all. And especially politicians are not prepared for that, because that's way beyond their level of imagination. They still think we can solve the what's it called? What's Rente? the pension problem. They still think we can solve the pension problem with migration, for instance, and that doesn't work. And study after study shows that it doesn't work. And again, it's not a moral thing to say that. People try to make it a moral thing, but the numbers do not lie. You cannot build a pension fund on migration. It just doesn't work. There is a limited amount of migration that is helpful, but you have to spend a lot of effort to make sure that it's qualitatively a higher level of migration. And I'm not against that. I'm not against migration in general. It's just if the main effect of migration is that you further strain the social systems in the country, then it obviously cannot work. And the only reason why politicians do that is because they're still able to win political points with that. But in Europe, in a lot of countries, that doesn't work. I mean, you in Netherlands just had that experience. Wilders, right? He tried to get something done about migration, and then the coalition broke. And you're supposed to have new elections, right? I think he's going to have new elections. Good old Geert. Snap elections. Maybe not. Oh yeah, maybe in November. And if you look at, in Germany, we had the same thing. We had the old coalition breaking, and now we have a new coalition that is like the old coalition. They're trying to vibe code solving migration right now in Germany, and the numbers that they're pretending like it's working, but the numbers are completely opposite. Which again is the whole thing. It's like they're doing memvid of migration basically right now, and for every dozens of people that they do not let into the country, there are thousands that they do let in. It's sad because I would like them to just do their job, like in Denmark, for instance. In Denmark, they have realized that they need to solve this problem, and the pain level in Germany isn't there yet, and obviously it's not there yet in the Netherlands too. And it's so tiring that all this is made into a moral discussion, because there is a level at which, just from the pure numbers, like euro values, you need money to deal with, especially asylum seekers and so forth. If you want to help them, you need to be able to help them. You need money for that, and you need people for that. If you have neither the money nor the people, then granting somebody, it's like letting somebody into your house, but you don't have any room for them. So the first part of this is nice. It's nice that you let somebody into your house and give them shelter. But at some point, your house is full. There is no room in there anymore, and they need to shower. They need to go to the toilet. They need to eat. It doesn't work. And is it nice to pretend that you can care for these people, and then they do not get these things? Oh yeah, this is the other reason why this is a problem, is because it's not precisely that they're grateful. Yes. Sadly, it's that. But again, I really dislike how all this is made into a moral argument. Like, if you don't support 100% open borders, suddenly you are the enemy and you are not moral. And all I'm saying is, no, I'm for helping people. But if you are an actual competent person And if you actually know about economics, then you know that to help somebody you need resources. Yeah. And part of that is that you need the resources to make sure that people that you help can actually receive help. And I will leave it at that. Because we let a lot of people in who cannot do that. And if you want to see how that can turn out, you just need to look at South Africa, basically, or California right now. There are whole parts of LA burning right now because they think that you need to be nice to people who cannot accept help and cannot be grateful. It just doesn't work. It does not work at all. But we got here because my point was that this is the precise same thing as vibe coding. It's the exact same thing. And you can have like 10 or 20% of this. It's fine. There's the old saying that democracy can withstand some amount of this noise. It's fine. But I always say that we don't have 100% problems. People always try to, well, all the sides in discussion always pretend like this is the worst thing. Everything is like hysterical about. Everything is completely wrong. But I think we actually have a more subtle problem. We have 10 to 20% problems. Because some things, if you make them just 10% worse or 20% worse, then over time with compound interest, you actually have a real problem. But if you then say, well, we need to change this 10%, people don't understand that. They say, well, supposedly we have this huge problem, but you want to change something by 10%? That doesn't make sense. If it is really a problem that, I don't know, our society is collapsing, then that would need something huge, right? And it's like, no. The problem is that we made a small mistake of a long period of time. We spent 10 years pretending that we have all the resources when we didn't. But now we have a big problem. And at least we need to do like a minus 10% correction. But since we have let this issue fester for so long, we need minus 10 to minus 20%, maybe plus a big effort. And we're not even getting the minus 10% done, let alone the big effort, where we need to, I don't know, remigrate people or something like that. Like, we're not even getting there. And the only thing that, and this is like in Denmark, they got this right. They made the minus 10 or minus 20% correction, and now it can grow slowly back, maybe. But in the Netherlands and in Germany, we don't even get that right. And the only thing that will happen is that we will get more right-wing parties, obviously, and less left-wing parties, and now less centrist parties. We actually got a lot stronger left-wing or extreme left parties in Germany too. It's just polarized. Yeah, what I always say is this is where I always go to in my mind, to my small cottage on the Åland Islands, Åland. I would have a house somewhere here, and that's it. We don't need to get out of the world. I just need to get to Åland. But then you are a citizen of Finland, I think. I think they even have a larger share of government to GDP there. What's Finland? Finland. See, Finland is here. Finland is here. Huh. I need to make more money, guy. I want to have the funds to get a quote-unquote holiday cottage here, and then at some point just move there. And convince my family to move there. Ooh. And no, we don't want to be in the Matrix. That's like vibe coding society, but on a more fundamental, like vibe coding the entire substrate of your reality. It's probably not the solution you're looking for. It'll feel good, maybe, but not for long. Although the weather is also a lot colder here. It's a big problem about the northern countries. Yeah, but this is my fantasy, basically. Moving here into that house. And then be annoyed by mosquitoes all year long. Probably. Long story short, you're probably right. It's kind of messed up. It kind of is messed up. The other, what's the book called? I always forget when I need to know the name. The Stevenson novel. Any of them. They have this concept of, what's it called? Consents. Like monastic communities, like monasteries that are cut off from society, where you keep the actually productive people doing productive things. And this is what I want to do. I want to build a monastery on the Åland Islands and collect a bunch of people there who actually want to work. That would be nice. It's a good book too. One of the better Stevenson novels. I should maybe reread it. I knew something. We actually watched Mission Impossible yesterday. We had a day off. The kids were with their cousins. So we spent the day. We went to the sauna, which is also kind of Åland Island coded. And then we ordered some food in and watched Mission Impossible with good old Tom Cruise. And the funniest thing about Mission Impossible movies is that he's also producing them. He's producing films about how he's the best guy and gets the girls that he chose himself. Why doesn't this work? Would we have space for a monastery here somewhere? Which should be one of the smaller islands, I guess. But you can totally build a monastery here, you know? Yeah, they can save you. They probably can. Is this a dock? It's probably a dock, right? Let's build a monastery here. About here. Because at least you probably don't want connection to the main island. Or maybe you do. Build a monastery here. And then just have a bunch of farms around. Eat good food. And work on stuff. Yeah. Do you remember when that was fun? When atheism was fun? And then the whole society that we built on the old religions crumbled. Yeah, yes, I do know. I also once was a lifestyle atheist. But then society crumbled around me. And I got the idea that maybe getting rid of all that was not the best idea. So it's not that I'm religious, but in my older days I gained a lot more appreciation for the amount of good that Western religions did for humanity. Kind of can't deny that. Is this algae? What is this? Yeah. Again, I just want to build a monastery, that's all. I don't want to cure cancer. I want to turn people into dinosaurs in my monastery. I want to see what that kind of growth is here. Because it looks like algae. Imagine living on this house. Wow. I mean, we can probably put enough people together to fund something like this. To fund my vision. And then I will be... probably some kind of marsh like this here. Let's build a new society in the Åland Islands. That's my big point. And then we will go there and figure out why that's a bad idea. It still remains to be seen whether... I mean, in a way, this is what America was supposed to be. Where we just build a new thing. But then you get the old second system effect. So what we are seeing in America right now is a societal level dealing with the second system effect. And it's the same thing as in programming, where you suddenly realize that you actually needed to understand and fix all the issues of the first system instead of just building a new one. So that's the issue. And that's the main thing holding me back on the spiritual level from just going all in on this plan. Yeah, probably not. There is a level of where you kind of can never do that, I guess. But I want to, and everybody wants to, and that's why we build second systems all the time. But there's a lot of space here. You could definitely do it. Just need the right people. And that'll be fine then. That'll be fine. You can definitely not build that kind of society on vibe coders. So you need to have a good vetting program in human vetting to get that done. What already happened? Also, you know what I just remembered? That I can actually just run this file. I notify init is undefined. That's an issue. Oh yeah, this is happening all the time. It probably is happening all the time. Why do I not have iNotify? Because I did compile that in. Check one thing here. Okay. I mean, in a way, America has a lot of vibe constructions. And it's surprising how well it's working for that. And most of that was the amount of quality people that they got in the beginning who set up the laws and stuff. And we'll see how that turns out in the end. We will see. But this is because the stream will probably end soon. This might be a good place to start tomorrow, where I figure out why I don't have iNotify. Wait, which one is this here? Is this the right one? This is the one I compiled. It should be in here. And I do compile this in, so in build, I should have the extensions. Have iNotify? And I have enabled it. Why do you not have I notify? What was the command? It's not there. Does it have any of the modules? No, this didn't work. That's our problem. This did not work. Why though? Configure, make install. This is fine. I think. Yeah. We have that in the bash RC. Oh yeah. We have a lot of that. Oh, this is bun? What? It's a bunch of nonsense, that's what it is. So we have this. This is fine. What the hell is bun doing? I didn't know what it is, but why is it so bad? why is it so bad? Why is it making the same mistakes that I make? Oh, this should be fine. This is kind of also fine. Maybe. But this shouldn't be the issue. The issue is that this doesn't get compiled in. Where do I link this? And this is also where I could include Xdebug for localhost. So I have to do that in a bit. Let's try to redo this here. We'll remove these. And then we have to do this again. And figure out why it doesn't build in the extensions that we need. How much log do we keep actually? $10,000 lines. Might be enough. So this is the first build of PHP. I'm still not sure whether it's correct that I'm doing this, but it'll be fine. And then it will pull in these things. Anyhow, I'll do that tomorrow. And for today, that'll be it. I will be back tomorrow morning. So, yeah, that's it. Bye. Take care.